My name is Amanda Harper, and I'm 28 years old. If you asked my parents to describe their kids, they'd tell you they have two. Not literally. If you press them, they'd say my name too, like they'd remembered a grocery item they forgot to put on the list. But emotionally, in every way that actually mattered, they've always had Tyler. Tyler is 31, my older brother, and the kind of son parents brag about like they personally invented him. The kind of kid who could show up late, half try, and still get praised for his work ethic. The kind who says something mildly clever at dinner and gets laughter like he's headlining a comedy special. And then there's me, the backup daughter, the supporting character whose job was to make Tyler's success look even brighter by comparison. You know those families where the favoritism isn't even subtle? Where it's so obvious it becomes part of the furniture? Like the couch is beige, the curtains are gray, and Tyler is perfect. That was my childhood. If Tyler got a B, it was because the teacher didn't explain things properly. My mom would sigh, like she was personally disappointed in the education system. If I got an A, it was because the class must be easy, and maybe I should challenge myself more if I wanted attention. Tyler played varsity football. My dad bought a custom jersey with his number on it. They showed up to games with air horns, shouting his name like he was already a local legend. My mom filmed everything and posted it online with captions like, "So proud of my boy." I ran cross country. On race days, I'd usually get a text. Sometimes. Not always. Usually something like, "Good for you," lowercase. Like even the letters couldn't be bothered to stand up straight. When I was 16, my Aunt Rachel pulled me aside at a family reunion. She did it gently, like she was afraid I'd shatter if she said the wrong thing. "Are you okay living in Tyler's shadow?" she asked. I remember standing there with a paper plate of potato salad, pretending that was the hardest question I'd ever been asked. "What do you say to that?" "Yeah, Aunt Rachel, it sucks being second choice in your own home. Pass the rolls." So I smiled and said, "I'm fine." And maybe I was. In the way people learn to be fine when they realize no one is coming to save them. The thing about being the overlooked kid is this: you either crumble or you build a life that doesn't require their approval. Tyler soaked up attention like sunlight. I learned how to grow in the shade. By the time I hit college, I wasn't waiting for my family to validate me anymore. I had my own circle, my own interests, my own plans. And most importantly, I had Evan. Evan and I met sophomore year in a political science class. He was sharp, brilliant in a way that wasn't loud about it. Funny, but not trying too hard. He had this way of calling out nonsense that made people laugh or squirm, depending on whether they agreed with him. The first time we talked, it turned into one of those accidental debates that somehow stretch into hours. It was about whether hot dogs were sandwiches. Yes, that was our romantic origin story. He smiled at me like my opinions mattered, like I wasn't just filling space. After a lifetime of being treated like background noise, that kind of attention felt like oxygen. We started dating not long after, and for the first time in my life, I felt like someone's first choice. Not a backup plan. Not the consolation prize. Just chosen. We dated through college. After graduation, we moved in together. By year 3, we weren't talking about the future like it was hypothetical. We were planning it. Engagement rings, where we wanted to settle down, whether we'd get a dog before or after the wedding. Normal, happy relationship stuff. My family, though? My family met Evan exactly twice in those 3 years. Both times were obligation events, the kind where they had to include me because it would have looked bad not to. The first time was Thanksgiving during our junior year. Evan was nervous. He wore a button-down shirt he'd ironed twice because he wanted to make a good impression. He brought homemade cookies he'd spent all morning baking, tied with a ribbon like we were in a movie. My mom glanced at them and said, "Oh, cute." Then she turned to Tyler and asked about his new internship at a finance firm like Evan wasn't sitting right there. Evan tried anyway. He complimented the food, asked my dad questions, smiled through the awkwardness. My dad answered in one-word replies while scrolling through Tyler's Instagram, showing relatives photos of Tyler standing in front of a downtown office building, looking like he belonged on a billboard. When we left, Evan asked quietly, "Did I do something wrong?" That familiar shame burned in my chest. "No," I said, that's just how they are." I hated how practiced that sentence sounded. The second meeting was my graduation. Evan came with his parents, 2 people who showed up like my success mattered to them too. His mom cried when she saw me in my cap and gown. His dad bought me a nice watch and called me kiddo, like I was already family. We all went out to lunch afterward. My parents showed up late, took one photo, and spent the rest of the meal talking about how Tyler had just been promoted and was looking at houses in the nice part of town. Evan's dad finally got fed up and changed the subject. He asked me about my job prospects, what I wanted to do with my degree, what I was excited about. It was the first time anyone at that table seemed genuinely interested in my future. My mom looked almost offended, like attention was a limited resource and it had just been stolen from its rightful owner. We left early. After that, Evan understood the dynamic. He never pushed me to involve my family more. He didn't try to fix them or pretend they'd magically change. He just got it. Some families have scapegoats and golden children. You don't fix that from the inside. You survive it, and you build something better. So we did. We built a life together. A decent apartment, 2 steady entry-level jobs, game nights with friends, road trips on long weekends, arguments over whose turn it was to clean the bathroom. Normal? Healthy? Meanwhile, Tyler bought a house in the nice part of town. 4 bedrooms, just for him. Because apparently that's what successful bachelors do. He worked insane hours at his finance job, made serious money, and somehow still managed to make every family dinner about himself. Bonuses, market predictions, his latest purchase. My parents nodded along like he was explaining the secrets of the universe. I went to maybe one dinner every couple of months just to keep the peace. Evan stopped coming after the 3rd time my mom forgot his name and called him Ethan. Not even close. Not even the same number of syllables. After that, I went alone and kept the visits short. It was manageable. Distant, but manageable. Until October of last year. It was a normal Tuesday afternoon at work when my phone started blowing up. Text after text from Evan. Then calls. Evan never called during work hours unless something was wrong. I stepped out of a meeting, my heart already climbing into my throat. "Amanda," he said when I answered. His voice was flat, cold, the kind of tone people use when they've already made a decision and they're just waiting to deliver it. "We need to talk tonight." My stomach dropped. "About what? Is everything okay?" "Just come straight home after work," he said. "Don't make plans." Then he hung up. I stood there staring at my phone, feeling like the floor had shifted under my feet. We'd been fine that morning, more than fine. We made breakfast together, joked about the neighbor's ridiculous Halloween decorations. He kissed my forehead and told me to have a good day. There were no warning signs, no recent fights, nothing. But that tone sounded like an ending. I spent the rest of the workday spiraling, replaying every conversation, every look, every moment from the past few weeks. What had I missed? What had gone wrong when I wasn't looking? I got home at 6. Evan was sitting on the couch, laptop open. His eyes were red, like he'd been crying. And on the coffee table sat a folder, an actual physical folder, the kind you only pull out when something is serious enough to hurt. "Sit down," he said. I did. He turned the laptop toward me. On the screen were photos. Photos of me in a club I'd never been to, with men I'd never met. Multiple photos. Different nights, judging by the outfits. Me with my arm around a guy in a fitted black shirt, faces too close. Me doing shots with another man, smiling like I belonged there. Neon blue lighting glowing behind us. My own face stared back at me like it belonged to someone else. "Want to explain these?" Evan asked, his voice cracking. And in that moment, something ice cold slid down my spine. Because I didn't know what those photos were, but I knew exactly who would enjoy making them. I stared at the screen, my brain scrambling to make sense of what I was seeing. "I've never been there," I said slowly. "I don't even know where that place is, Peg." Evan didn't respond right away. He just sat there, elbows on his knees, fingers laced together like he was holding himself in place. "Really?" he finally said. It wasn't a question. It was disbelief wrapped in exhaustion. "Because that's definitely you, Amanda. That's your face. Those are your clothes." He clicked through the images one by one. 6 photos, all taken at what looked like the same club. Same neon blue lighting, same dark walls, same pulsing blur in the background. In every photo, I looked comfortable, familiar, like I belonged there. One of them showed my arm around a guy with sandy blonde hair, his hand resting just above my waist. Another had me laughing, head tilted back, a shot glass in my hand. In the third, I was pressed close to a man in a gray jacket, my watch clearly visible on my wrist. The watch Evan's parents had bought me for graduation. "That's your scar," Evan said quietly, zooming in on one of the images. "From when you wiped out on your bike in 8th grade. I swallowed. "I know." "Same haircut," he continued. "Same jacket you wear all the time. Same watch. Same everything." He looked at me then, really looked at me, like he was searching for something in my face. "I've never been to that club," I said again, my voice firmer now. "I don't go clubbing. You know that. I hate loud places. I'm usually asleep by 10. People make time for what they want to do, Evan replied. His tone wasn't cruel, but it wasn't gentle either. It was the sound of someone repeating something they'd already told themselves 100 times. I leaned forward. Evan, look at me. When would I have had time to do this? I'm either at work, home with you, or at the gym. That's literally my entire schedule. He closed the laptop. I've been sitting here all day looking at these, he said. I zoomed in. I studied them. They're good. Too good to be some sloppy fake. My heart started pounding. Where did these come from? He gestured to the folder on the coffee table. Your brother sent them to me this morning. The room went very, very still. Tyler, I said. The name felt foreign in my mouth. Wrong. Evan nodded. He said he'd been debating whether to show me, that he didn't want to hurt me, but felt like I deserved to know the truth. The truth. When did he supposedly take them? I asked. He didn't, Evan said. He said a friend of his spotted you at the club a few weeks ago and texted him the photos asking if it was you. Tyler confirmed it was. I laughed, a short, hollow sound that surprised both of us. That's ridiculous, I said. Tyler doesn't have friends who go clubbing. His idea of a wild night is a networking dinner. Evan didn't smile. Apparently, he said, the friend sent more photos from other nights after that. He pulled the printed copies from the folder and spread them across the coffee table like evidence in a courtroom. 6 photos. 3 different outfits. 3 different nights. All at the same club, Evan said. He said he sat on them for weeks trying to decide what to do. Then he finally decided I had a right to know. The story was almost believable. Almost. Except for the part where Tyler suddenly developed a conscience. These are fake, I said. They're photoshopped. Evan let out a slow breath through his nose. Of course you'd say that. Because they are, I insisted. Look at them. Something's off. Like what? He shot back. Because all I see is my girlfriend with other men. I reached for the laptop. Let me see them again. He hesitated, then opened it back up. I leaned in, studying each image carefully. The black shirt. I owned that. The gray jacket. I wore it constantly. Same haircut, same watch, same face. Even my expression looked natural. Not stiff or pasted on. Whoever had made these had done their homework. Professional level work. Can you send these to me? I asked. I want to look at them on my computer, run them through some tools, see if I can prove they're edited. Evan's jaw tightened. Why? So you can delete the originals? No, I said quickly, so I can prove I didn't do this. Or so you can clean up your tracks. Evan, come on, I said, my voice cracking. 3 years together. Do I really seem like the kind of person who would sneak around to clubs and cheat on you? He didn't answer right away. I didn't think so, he finally said. But these photos exist, and your own brother sent them to me. Why would Tyler lie about this? I asked, my hands shaking now. That was the question hanging between us, heavy and unanswered. I don't know, Evan said, but I also don't know why I'd make this up. Please, I said, just give me a chance to prove they're fake. Send them to me. He stared at me for a long moment, then finally forwarded the files to my email. I need time, he said quietly. I'm going to stay with Mark for a few days. The words landed like a punch. You're leaving? I can't be here right now, he said, standing up. I need space to think. He grabbed a bag, went to the bedroom, and closed the door behind him. A few minutes later, I heard the lock click. 3 years. Gone. Because of 6 fake photos and a golden child brother who'd apparently decided my life was entertainment. I called Tyler that afternoon. He answered on the 3rd ring, cheerful as ever. Hey, Mandy, he said. What's up? What did you do? I asked, skipping pleasantries. The photos, Tyler. The fake club photos you sent to Evan. There was a pause, then laughter. Oh, wow, he said. He showed you? What is wrong with you? I demanded. Why would you do this? Do what? Tyler replied innocently. Show your boyfriend proof that you're stepping out? I've never cheated on him, I said. I've never been to that club. Those photos are fabricated, and you know it. Prove it, he said, his tone shifting. Go ahead, prove they're fake. I will. Oh, you can try, he said, but I scrubbed all the metadata before sending them. So really, it's just your word against photographic evidence. My stomach dropped. Why would you do that? I asked. He chuckled. High-quality work takes effort. Figured I'd make it convincing. So this was planned, I said. You didn't just stumble onto these. Let's just say I put some thought into it. Why? I whispered. He didn't answer the question. Instead, he said, good luck convincing him. Then he hung up. I stood there holding my phone, shaking. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment joke. Tyler had planned this. He'd hired someone, or learned how to do it himself, created fake photos that could pass basic scrutiny, stripped away the digital fingerprints that could expose them, and sent them to Evan with a carefully crafted story designed to sound reluctant and noble. It was calculated, and I had no idea why he'd decided to destroy my life. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my computer until sunrise, running the photos through every editing detection tool I could find, looking for mismatched lighting, jagged edges, anything. The photos were clean, too clean. But then I noticed the background in one of them, a partial logo on the wall behind one of the men. I zoomed in, searched it. The club was called Voltage, downtown. I'd never been there, never even heard of it. I pulled up my bank statements for the dates Tyler claimed the photos were taken. Every single one of those nights, I'd made normal purchases. Coffee near our apartment, groceries, the gym. Time-stamped receipts showing I was nowhere near downtown. I built a timeline, screenshots, receipts. In the morning, before Evan left for work, I showed him everything. "This proves you were in the area," he said. "It doesn't prove you weren't at Voltage later." I felt like screaming. "I need time," he said again. "I'm staying with Mark." And just like that, he was gone. 3 months of my life collapsed into silence. And I knew, deep down, that proving my innocence was only the beginning. The next 3 months were the worst period of my adult life. Evan wouldn't see me. He wouldn't take my calls. He answered exactly 2 texts, both short, both distant, both variations of, "I need more time." His best friend Mark believed the photos, which meant I'd lost any chance at a neutral intermediary. So when I couldn't afford the apartment on my own, there was only one place left to go, my parents' house. They didn't ask why I was back, didn't sit me down, didn't check in. My childhood bedroom was still the same faded paint, same creaky dresser, like I'd never really left. Like adulthood had been a phase I was done playing. Tyler, meanwhile, was over for dinner 3 nights a week. He walked in like royalty. New suits, new watch, stories about bonuses and market forecasts. My parents leaned in every time he spoke, nodding like students at a lecture. I ate most meals in my room. When I did run into him in the hallway or kitchen, he'd smirk like he knew something I didn't. I spent every free hour trying to prove those photos were fake. I stopped sleeping properly, stopped eating real meals. I lived on coffee and adrenaline and the quiet terror of being permanently misunderstood. Eventually, I found a digital forensic specialist online. Expensive, reputable, and very clear about one thing: no guarantees. I paid the consulting fee anyway, money I really didn't have. 2 weeks later, he called. "The images are definitely manipulated," he said. "Highly skilled work. Whoever did this knew what they were doing." Relief crashed over me so hard I had to sit down. "But," he continued, "there are anomalies. In 2 photos, the lighting on your face doesn't perfectly match the ambient lighting of the room. In another, there's slight edge distortion around your hairline." My breath caught. "And most importantly," he added, "I found remnants of layer masks in the file structure. These images were assembled in Photoshop from multiple source images." "Can you document that?" I asked. "Already have," he said. "I'll send you a full report with annotations and technical breakdowns." When the email arrived, I cried. Not because I'd won, because someone finally believed me. But proof of manipulation wasn't enough. I needed to show how they were made and where the pieces came from. So I kept digging. I ran reverse image searches, pixel-level scans, database after database. Weeks later, I caught a break. One of the men in the photos? A stock image model. The original photo was from a photographer's portfolio, taken at a Vegas nightclub for a promotional shoot. Same outfit, same pose, same lighting. Just without me. I found 2 more originals the same way. Different models, different photographers, all stock photos available for licensing. Someone had bought those images, then inserted me into them. The images of me took longer to trace, but eventually I figured it out. Tyler had pulled them from my social media. The black shirt photo? From a birthday dinner Evan had posted years ago. The gray jacket? A Thanksgiving photo my aunt had uploaded. My face had been lifted from innocent public moments and stitched into lies. I compiled everything. The forensic report. The original stock photos. Screenshots of my social media showing the source images. Side-by-side comparisons. Receipts proving my location on those nights. 20 pages of evidence. I sent it all to Evan with a single message. "I told you they were fake. Here's proof. I love you. I never cheated. Please read this." He didn't respond for 3 days. 3 days of staring at my phone like it might light up out of pity. Then the doorbell rang. Evan stood on my parents' porch, eyes red, shoulders slumped. "Can we talk?" he asked. We talked for 4 hours. I walked him through everything. The report, the comparisons, the timelines. He read the forensic breakdown twice. When he finally looked up, his voice shook. "I'm so sorry," he said. "I should have trusted you." You had no reason to think my brother would do something like this, I said quietly. But why? He asked. Why would he go that far? I don't know, I said, but I'm going to find out. We got back together that night. We didn't move back into the old apartment. Too many ghosts. We found a new place across town and tried to rebuild what Tyler had tried to destroy. I didn't confront him right away. I let him think he'd gotten away with it. December came fast. My parents hosted Christmas like they always did. Big dinner, extended family, the whole performance. I almost didn't go. Evan squeezed my hand and said, "Don't let him think he won." So we went. We smiled, we played nice, we ate ham and exchanged polite conversation with relatives who barely remembered my name. Tyler was in rare form. Stories about his new car, his Cancun vacation, his grind. After dinner, he pulled me aside into the kitchen. "So," he said, smirking, "looks like you and Evan worked things out." "Yeah," I said, "we did." "That's good," he said, "really good." He leaned closer. "I was worried those photos might cause some lasting damage." I met his eyes. We proved they were fake. His grin flickered. "Fake?" he said. "Come on, those were quality shots." "We had a forensic specialist examine them," I said calmly. "Track down the source images too." He laughed. "Okay," he said. "So you did your homework. Impressive." Then he shrugged. "But seriously, you kind of deserved it." Something in me went still. "For what?" I asked. "For being you," he said. "For making family dinners awkward. For always sulking. It was just funny watching you scramble." He grinned. "Just a prank, sis." I didn't laugh. I didn't say a word. I just looked at him. And in that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I didn't confront Tyler after Christmas. Not right away. That surprised Evan. It surprised me too, a little. There was a version of me, an older one, a more desperate one, that would have exploded in that kitchen, demanded apologies, forced my parents to finally see what kind of son they'd raised. But I knew better now. People like Tyler didn't apologize because they understood they were wrong. They apologized when it was convenient, when there were consequences, when the laughter stopped. And I wasn't done listening yet. In the car on the way home, Evan asked the question I knew was coming. "What are you going to do?" I watched the streetlights blur past the window. "I don't know," I said. "But I know I'm not doing nothing." I meant it. Turns out the last 3 months had taught me more than how to survive betrayal. In order to prove my innocence, I'd learned a lot about digital manipulation, how lighting works, how layers blend, how easy it is to tell a lie that looks real if you know where to look. I hadn't meant to gain a new skill set, but I had, and Tyler, unintentionally, had been my teacher. After Christmas, I started paying attention to his social media. Tyler loved Instagram, loved documenting his life like it was a brand. New car, expensive dinners, beach vacations, gym selfies with captions about discipline and hustle. At first, I scrolled past out of habit. Then I noticed something odd, a pattern. December 8th. A photo of Tyler at Virginia Beach, toes in the sand, holding some kind of neon-colored frozen drink. Caption, "Much needed mental health day." I checked the calendar. Thursday, middle of the work week. December 15th. Another beach photo, different angle, same vibe. Caption, "Taking a moment to breathe and reset." Also a Thursday, January 4th. Back at the beach again. Caption, "New Year, same me, finding peace by the ocean." Posted at 11:02 a.m. on a Tuesday. 3 beach days, less than a month, all during standard business hours. I stared at my phone, something clicking into place. Tyler worked for a large regional bank on the corporate side. I'd heard him complain more than once about their strict attendance policies, about how HR required documentation if you took more than 2 sick days in a quarter. So either my brother had the worst immune system in history, just healthy enough to drive 2 hours to the beach, or he was lying about sick leave. I started digging. Not hacking, not anything illegal, just paying attention. I cross-referenced dates from his Instagram with holidays and weekdays, checked timestamps, looked at when posts went live. 13 beach photos over 6 months, all on weekdays, all during business hours. Tyler wasn't working remotely. He'd complained endlessly about how his job wouldn't allow that. The picture became very clear. He was taking sick days and going to the beach and posting about it publicly. I felt something cold and steady settle in my chest. Tyler had used fake photos to accuse me of something I hadn't done, something that could have destroyed my life. What he'd done? That was real, and real violations carried real consequences. I downloaded every one of his beach photos. Then I did something I never would have considered before last year. I got creative. I found stock images of office environments, conference rooms, desks, Neutral corporate backdrops that looked like they'd come straight from an internal company brochure. Then I opened Photoshop. I took Tyler's face from his beach photos, the same ones he'd proudly posted, and placed it into office settings. Carefully, cleanly, I adjusted the lighting, matched shadows, smoothed edges. Then I added timestamps. December 8th, December 15th, January 4th. Each image made it look like Tyler had been at work on the exact days he'd claimed sick leave. The irony was almost poetic, using his actual vacation photos to show him not being where he said he was. Next, I built a comparison document. On the left, Tyler's Instagram posts from the beach, complete with captions, dates, and timestamps. On the right, the fabricated office images, him at a desk, him in a meeting, him working late, all time matched. It looked damning, and that was the point. Tyler had created fake evidence of me doing something I never did. I was creating fake evidence of Tyler doing something he actually had done. The photos were a lie. The accusation was not. Tyler's company had an anonymous ethics hotline. I remembered him mocking it once at dinner, how corporate was paranoid about fraud and took time theft way too seriously. I created a new email address, kept it short, clinical. I'm a concerned colleague who noticed a troubling pattern. I attached the document, added one final line. This appears to be repeated misuse of paid sick leave and a violation of company policy. Please investigate. Then I hit send. Monday morning. By Wednesday, Tyler was blowing up my phone. 15 missed calls. Texts ranging from confused to furious to panicked. What did you do? Corporate is investigating me. They have photos of me supposedly at work when I was at the beach. That's impossible. This has you written all over it. I didn't respond. I let the silence do the work. Thursday morning, a new message came through. They fired me. They flagged my file. Said I committed time fraud. My career is over because of fake photos. I stared at the screen. Then I called him. He answered immediately. What the hell did you do? He demanded. Me? I said calmly. I didn't do anything. Don't play dumb, he snapped. Those photos, they're fake. Just like the club photos were fake. Were they? I asked. Because from what you told me, photographic evidence is pretty reliable. High-quality work can be very convincing. Silence. You were actually at the beach those days, I continued. We both know that. You took sick days you weren't entitled to and posted about it publicly. That's not the point, he said desperately. You fabricated evidence. I smiled, though he couldn't see it. Just a prank, bro, I said. Don't be dramatic. More silence. How could you cost me my job? He finally asked. How could you do this to your own brother? At least I used your own method, I said. Seems fair. This is different. Is it? I asked. You created fake photos to destroy my relationship for fun. I created fake photos to expose something you actually did. Mine were more honest than yours. He had no answer. I hung up, and I knew this wasn't over yet. The fallout came fast. Too fast for Tyler to control. Too fast for my parents to spin. By Friday night, my phone was ringing nonstop. Mom first, then Dad, then Mom again. This time leaving a voicemail so sharp I could practically hear her pacing the kitchen floor. How could you do this to your brother? She demanded. He's devastated, Amanda. He lost his job, his career. Do you have any idea what you've done? I let it ring the second time. Answered the third. I documented what he actually did, I said calmly. That's what I did. That's not the same thing, my dad snapped, finally taking the phone. Tyler wasn't trying to hurt you. He was just joking around. I laughed. I couldn't help it. 3 months, I said. 3 months of Evan believing I cheated. 3 months of me being locked out of my own relationship. 3 months of trying to prove I wasn't a liar. That was a joke? He didn't mean for it to go that far, my dad said. But it did, I replied, and he laughed about it, to my face, at Christmas. Silence. Then my mom tried a different tactic. Can't you just call his company? She pleaded. Explain it was a misunderstanding? That the photos were fake? The photos were fake, I said. The fraud wasn't. Tyler took sick days he didn't earn. He violated policy. I didn't make him do that. You've changed, she said, her voice tight. We didn't raise you to be this vindictive. That was it. That was the moment something finally snapped into place. You didn't raise me, I said quietly. You raised Tyler. I just existed in the same house. They didn't have a response to that. Instead, my dad said, You're burning bridges you'll regret someday. I thought about that. About all the bridges I'd been standing on alone my entire life. The bridge burned a long time ago, I said. I'm just done pretending it didn't. After that, I stopped answering, stopped explaining, stopped trying to make them understand something they'd never wanted to see. Evan and I made a decision not long after. We were leaving the state. North Carolina specifically. Far enough away that family dinner wouldn't be an obligation anymore. Far enough away that Tyler's shadow couldn't reach me. We already had interviews lined up. Evan got an offer first, at a nonprofit he'd admired for years. I followed with a solid role at a tech company. Better pay, better culture, fewer egos. We packed up quietly. No dramatic goodbye. No tearful confrontation. Just boxes, a moving truck, and a clean break. My parents threatened to cut me off. I reminded them they'd never really been involved to begin with. So if they wanted to make it official, that was fine. The last conversation I had with my dad was short. "You'll regret this," he said. "Family is everything." "No," I replied. "Family is people who don't destroy your life for entertainment." We moved in March. Bought a small house in a quiet neighborhood. Got a dog. Learned the names of our neighbors. Built routines that felt safe. That summer, Evan proposed. I said yes. We got married in October. Small ceremony. Just friends. Evan's family. People who showed up for us when things were ugly, not just when they were convenient. No one from my side of the family was invited. I didn't want them there. I didn't need them there. At the reception, Evan's mom gave a toast. She talked about how proud she was of her son for choosing someone who fought for the truth, someone who didn't fold when things got hard, someone who proved love through action, not excuses. She looked right at me, and for the first time in my life, I felt what family was supposed to feel like. My parents sent a card. Generic, no call, no gift. I threw it away before Evan could see it. Tyler sent nothing. Last I heard, he's still between jobs. Turns out being fired for time fraud follows you. Financial sector employers don't love trust issues. He does contract work now. Gig stuff. Lives in a smaller apartment. His Instagram is quiet these days. No beach photos. No expensive dinners. Just vague captions about staying positive. I don't feel bad. Not even a little. He gambled his career because he thought rules didn't apply to him, because he thought my life was a joke. The fake photos were just the vehicle. The consequences were real. People sometimes ask if I miss my family. The honest answer? I miss the idea of family. I miss who they could have been if they'd ever treated me like I mattered. But the actual people, the ones who picked favorites, who laughed when my life fell apart, who called cruelty a prank and accountability betrayal, I don't miss them at all. There are moments, holidays, milestones, when the instinct hits, that reflex to call your parents and share good news. Then I remember who they actually are, not who I wish they were. And the impulse fades. Some people lose family. Others finally choose themselves. I chose me.